they are willing to change the support of Congress. Is this letter a cause of concern for us? Can Kosovo be subject to U.S. sanctions?
So the letter ought to be a cause of concern for all of us, and I think it reflects not just the views of 8 senators, but it also reflects the views of a number of American officials, including within the Biden administration. We are concerned. We are Kosovo's closest partner, and the commitment of the American people to Kosovo itself and to the people of Kosovo remains as steadfast as ever. But we have, and not just the United States, but we have asked the government of Kosovo to take some specific actions to help de-escalate the situation in the north, to help move forward in a way to the benefit of Kosovo and to regional stability. And we are concerned that the government of Kosovo has not responded positively to those requests. I also want to make the point that it isn't just the United States that is asking. You know, what's happened just in this week is reasonably extraordinary. Since Monday, Prime Minister Kurti has met with the British Foreign Secretary, has spoken with Secretary of State Blinken, has spoken with the President of the European Council, Ursula von der Leyen. There's been public statements by the Secretary General of NATO. So basically, the configuration of the institutions to which Kosovo seeks to join someday, which we wholeheartedly support, and the friends of Kosovo, the countries and institutions that have most played a role in supporting Kosovo on this trajectory, are all asking Kosovo, this government, to take some specific actions to implement this 3-point plan from the EU. We're puzzled. It's hard for us to understand why that isn't being responded to in a positive way, and it doesn't seem to be.
Puzzled is the word to describe it?
Well, that's the word I just used. I'm puzzled. I'm trying to figure out why. It's fairly unique for a government of Kosovo not to be responsive to this constellation of actors, all of whom have Kosovo's best interests at heart. So, yeah, I'm puzzled, concerned. I want to avoid a situation, you know, at the tail end of this letter from the Senate, and I brought a copy. Let me read a sentence to you that I think is really important.
We have it on the screen as well.
Okay, it's near the end, so the second page, if you go to the back.
Yes.
We do not see this recent episode of tensions as a temporary aberration in the bilateral relationship. We see this as a defining moment in the trajectory of our relations with both countries. So this is a moment for the government of Kosovo to show the extent to which it is prepared to be responsive to the very countries and institutions that it is most aligned with. I believe strongly that the people of Kosovo want to become members of the European Union, and polling suggests that to be the case. I believe strongly that the people of Kosovo want Kosovo to someday be a member of NATO and to join Partnership for Peace. And public polling suggests that's the case. The United States completely supports those objectives, and we've put in a lot of effort to achieve it. But if you want that, you also have to be responsive to those institutions and the key decision makers in them. And that goes back to why we're puzzled, why we're concerned, why we want to see the government be responsive to the recommendations and requests from us, from the UK, from the European Union and others to take these difficult steps to implement this 3-point plan. We are also asking Serbia to implement this 3-point plan. This isn't a focus just on Kosovo. We're asking both sides to do things that de-escalate, that reset, that help us move past the current crisis, which is deeply disconcerting, and get us to a place where we are focused on where we were a few months ago, the full implementation by both sides of the Ohrid Agreement, which creates the right pathway for this trajectory towards European and Euro-Atlantic institutions for Kosovo.
And what if we still won't see a response from Kosovo government and also from the Serbian side for the request towards them?
Well, as you saw in the letter from the senators, if the fundamental building blocks of this relationship are not reciprocated, we urge you, and this is a letter to the President, to consider further steps to limit those relationships as we've outlined above. So I don't want to get into specifics of what would come next, and I don't want to go there. I was so disappointed when we were in a situation where the U.S. commander of the European Command, four-star General Cavoli, made the decision to suspend Kosovo's participation in Defender Europe 23. Nobody wants that, but he made that decision because he assessed that a choice made by the Prime Minister Kurti heightened the level of risk for NATO soldiers and American soldiers in Kosovo. Now, I will not say that Kosovo is solely responsible for the situation in the north. It is not. We know that. But Kosovo has contributed to this situation. And so he made this decision. I don't want to see another decision like this again. I want to see us return to this close cooperation and partnership. And that is in the government's control. And we hope it will take these choices.
Or what?
Well, as I said, I don't want to get into specifics. I will say that it's clear that there would be some additional consequences if we continue down the path of the government of Kosovo not being responsive to the requests from all of its friends, from all of the countries that have and have shown over more than a decade or two our commitment to seeing Kosovo take its place within Europe and within European and Euro-Atlantic structures.
Prime Minister Kurti is complaining that the international community is not really understanding the issue, and I will go back and quote what he said concerning U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, when Mr. Blinken said that the decision to use force to address municipal buildings in the north has been taken against advice of the U.S. and EU. Kurti replied by expressing displeasure at the statement, calling it appeasement of wishes. He said that this statement is, and I quote, unfair, wrong, and hurtful, but at the same time very naive. Perhaps Secretary Blinken will explain this further one day, but definitely it was not helpful. What is your comment?
My comment is, at that moment in time, passions were high. And I think it's important to acknowledge that as well. I don't believe that the American